Okay, yesterday we began the sugya of Kesuvos banim dichrin. Let's go through just to refresh our memories. In order to facilitate a father wanting to give a proper dowry for his daughter, right? They had written it saying the ksuba that his grandchildren will inherit the ksuba. Why? Because if you didn't write that, what would happen would be chas v'shalom, his daughter would die, the husband, his son-in-law would inherit everything, the dunya, and he would pass it on to his new family, right? So therefore, to ensure that he would give an dunya to his wife, a dowry to his daughter, right? There was written that the woman would inherit the ksubas banim dichrin, the ksubas of male children. And we had, why not females? We had a whole bunch of shilas yesterday. So we're continuing along with that discussion. We're on Nun Beis Amid Beis, and we have an incident that's going to occur. Rav Papa, 3 lines from the bottom. Rav Papa asikle lebrei be Abba Suroi. Rav Papa was marrying off his daughter, his son. He was marrying off his son to the daughter of Abba Surah. Now this is fascinating because Abba Surah happened to be the father-in-law of Rav Papa. So Rav Papa was making a shidduch with his father-in-law. In other words, his father-in-law was going to be his mechutin. Now it must be that he had another wife, or else it would be a problem of marrying your aunt. You can't marry your aunt. So it must be that this boy was not related whatsoever to this other son, because else it would be a problem of being an aunt. The Rishah said that. So Azal Michlik Subasa, and he was going Rav Papa to the house of Abba Surah, and he was going to go right up to Ksuba, meaning he was going to go, figure out exactly what the Nedunya was, what the dowry was. Shama Yehuda bar Merema, he was the Rav of the town. Nafik Asa, he came out to greet the great Rav Papa. Ischazile kimatale pischa habikamiftamine. So Rav Yehuda bar Merema accompanied Rav Papa up until the house of Abba Surah, up until that house. Surah means from Surah. So up until the house, and he didn't want to go into the house because he didn't want to influence Abba Surah vis-a-vis writing a larger nedunya for his daughter. He felt if he would be there as the Rav, such a chashuva person, that Abba Surah would feel inclined to go ahead and write a larger dowry. So therefore, he didn't want to accompany Rav Papa inside. So Amalei, so Rav Papa said to Rav Yehuda bar Merema, Neil Mar Bahadoy, let Mar come in with me. Let Mar come in. So Chazia, he saw the Lavi Nicholai. He saw he wasn't happy. We're on Nun Gimel Amid Aleph, Avi. Nun Gimel Amid Aleph. So Chazia, the top line. Chazia Lavi Nicholai. So Rav Papa saw that Rav Yehuda Merema was not so happy about going in. So Rav Papa said to him, "My daitcha." Shmuel Rav Yehuda Shinana. Shmuel told his Talmud of Yehuda, he called him Shinana, sharp one. Like to have ba'avur achasanta. You shouldn't be there when any inheritance is being transferred. I feel even if it's going from a bad son to a good son, you shouldn't be there because you might influence it. Because you don't know better. Certainly from a son to a daughter. So you figure that if you're going to go in there, what's going to happen? He's going to give a dowry, and that dowry, by giving a dowry, you take away the Yerusha from her brothers. We discussed this yesterday, right? We discussed yesterday, how could you go ahead and take away the dowry from the Yerusha from them? We said, well, there's a pasuk that you should go ahead and facilitate the marriage of your daughter by giving a larger nedunya. So therefore, that Rav Papa, he kind of surmised what the misgivings of Rabbi Yehuda Merema were in not wanting to go in. And he said, what are you worried about? So, Hainami Takan Rabbanan. This is also Takan Rabbanan. In other words, it's the dowry is the Takan Rabbanan. So the Amar of Yehuda, the Amar of Yochanan Mishum Mishum Ben Yochai, Amalei, Hani Mili Midaite. So he said, Amalei, Mishum Mishum Ben Yochai. As we said yesterday, guys, that what? It's Takan Rabbanan, or maybe even the Raisa, to go ahead and give your daughter a larger dowry in order to go ahead and make her more conducive for marriage. The Gemara doesn't say it. That's the opinion yesterday. He said, "My time of the Kesuvos banim dichrin," and we in order to go ahead and and then he'll give her a larger dowry in order to marry her off. So Amalei, so Yehudim Reimet told her Papa, Hani Mili Midaite. That's when he gives it Midaite. But Lasuye Nami, but even to force him, in other words, if I'm going to come in, he's going to feel forced to give a larger dowry. Amalei, the oil, the asya, did I tell you to go in and force him to give a larger dowry? Oil come in and just go in with me and don't say anything. Amalei me'eloi didi hainasiya. Just me coming in, hainasiya. That's going to go ahead and force the issue. Nonetheless, Rev Papa did not take no for an answer, and he literally forced Rev Yehuda to go into Abba Sura's house for oil. And Ishtik, he remained silent. Yehuda remained silent. The Yosefin was sitting there. Saba Abba Surah held. He thought he was angry at him because he didn't say anything. So feeling his anger that he didn't give a large enough nedunya, Abba Surah wrote over everything. I don't know. Anyway, so he wrote over everything. So the Saif Amalei Hashtan Lami. I know why aren't you talking to me now? What more could I have done? I'm sure I didn't leave anything for myself. So why aren't you talking to me? In other words, he really felt that he was angry at him, and therefore he wanted to pacify him. Abu Surah to pacify Rabbi Yehuda ben Reima. He gave everything away. It was up to me. I wouldn't have even written that amount. So he realized that he wasn't angry. So so Abu Surah said, now maybe I should have charata. So Yehuda ben Reima told Abu Surah, to make yourself a person who goes back on his word, I did not say. So just a little story to speak about Kesuvos, giving Kesuvos to Nedunyas to daughters. Okay, boy mine Rav Yema Saba Miravna. Okay, outside guys. A woman could sell the ksuba. Now, what does that mean? It's really a risk. She may collect it or she may not. If her husband dies or divorces her, she collects it. If she predeceases her husband, she doesn't collect it. Good? So any person who would buy ksuba would not pay the price of the ksuba. It was a Mishnah in Makkas. You don't go ahead and pay the price of the ksuba. You pay what's called toivus hana. Whatever the risk factor is, whatever it is. In other words, you may get it, but how much would you be willing to pay that you'll get it or not? Okay? So if she sells it to her husband, it's possible she's selling it b'manav shach. If you die before me, I'm selling you the rights, and the children will inherit it. And if I go ahead and predecease you, then nothing to talk about. So either way, if you sell to the husband, it's kind of a win-win for the husband. Okay. Question is, if you sell the ksuba, the 100, 200, is the ksuba's bun and different part of the sale or not? Again, ksuba's bun and different is the tanai ksuba. We break up the ksuba to different parts. We broke up the ksuba to the 100, 200. We broke it up to the tesefes, which the husband gives. We broke it up to the nedunya, with the wife brings into the marriage. So the question is, if she's selling the ksuba part, is that going to take also into condition the bun and different part? And therefore, if she would die, the husband would not have to go ahead and give the ksuba to the bun and different, or not. So that's the Gemara Shaila. Okay. So boimine yema saba mirav nachman machro ksubasa lebaila yesh la ksubas bun and different or ain la ksubas bun and different. Let's see Rashi, guys. Rashi is very beautiful lashon. By ain la, go up a bit, parallel to 4 or 5 lines down in the Gemara. Says Rashi or ain la, mi aminon kivin demachro lebaila pakala toiris yerushas aviha. It goes off the yerusha that the father, again, the father that the sons will inherit. The ability that the father had written, that the husband had written to the father in the ksuba to be moirish, the ksuba's bani dichrin goes away with the sale. Shahari mechrasa, she sold it. There is nothing coming from her side anymore. Everything is coming from the husband. In other words, guys, let's look at the kids going ahead and inheriting now? Usually, kids can inherit for one of two reasons. If it's the child of the first marriage, you're inheriting from the Tanai that the father wrote to his father-in-law. But if he owns it, then they're inheriting the koyach the husband. So they're equal to what? To any other of the other children. And they won't get Kesuvos Banim Dichrin. They'll divide it up equally. Because she sold that right. Do we say that was for sale? Right? The Yechloku Kolban of Bishava B'nei Nashav, and they equally. Or no? Do we say that no? That the Kesuvos Banim Dichrin is still intact? That's the Shaila. So you guys hear the Shaila. Let's go one more time. Let's forget the Shaila. We know that Kesuvos Banim Dichrin is Tanai Kesuba. When a woman would die, her sons would go ahead and inherit her Kesuba. Where's that inheritance coming from? It's coming from her daddy. It's coming from her father who had made a deal with the husband. It's a Tanai in the Kesuba that they'll go ahead and inherit it. Versus if she sells that right, and now the children are getting it from the father, then they're no different than the children from the father's second marriage. It's all coming Mitaris Yerusha. So we want to know if she sold it, is she selling just the 100, 200, but the Tanai would be intact, or no, or she sold the whole thing. And then they would not be anything special, Kesuvos Banim Dichrin. They would divide in a dunya along with everything else, along with the children from the second marriage. That's the Shaila of the Gemara. That's what Yemes Saba is of Nachman. Machar Kesubas Labayla, Yesh Kesuvos Banim Dichrin, Kesuvos Banim Dichrin. Amle Rava, Utiboylach Meicheles. What happens if she's Meichel the Kesuba? It seems that Meichel the Kesuba was more common than selling a Kesuba. So Amalei, said Yemes Saba to Rava, Hashta Meichra Kamiboyli. Now I had a Shaila by Meichra. The Afagav Diklamema Zusi Ansua. She was forced because she needed the money. Damina Commander Kamachle Mea Uchli Ba'uchla. It's like she was hit with a whip that had uchla was the coin at the edge of it. You needed, in other words, she was forced to sell it. Moicheles mi boy was moicheles mi boy. In other words, there's more of a svara to say that she's off the hook by the Kesuvos Banim Dichrin is intact because there's a svara that she didn't even want to sell it. Mashenke when she's Michael, it's more obvious than that she wants to give it up. So why would you think moicheles just because it's more common is the better shaila? It's a much better shaila if she sold it. Obviously, she sold it. She must needed the money that the husband gave her, right? And so therefore, we have a bigger shaila because maybe machmas ayna she's selling it, and therefore she didn't give it up. Versus mechila, which is much more of a svara, she gave up the Kesuvos Banim Dichrin. Now, same new Gemara, but the same Gemara. They weren't placed at the shaila. Amarava pshitali meicheres ksubasa la'acherim. If she sells the Kesuba to others, Yeshla Kesuvos Banim Dichrin. Certainly they have Kesuvos Banim Dichrin. She is not selling that to others, that right, because she's still retaining it. Because again, the husband, in that case, her children would get the Banim Dichrin. Says Rashi. The Hakiloi Vinte Nami, right? Even if she didn't sell it, Yoris Labal, the Baal would inherit it. Guys, fellas, if she dies, the people who bought it get nothing. That was their risk. Guys, what was the risk? Whether she would predecease the husband or not. If the husband predeceased her, the ones who bought it would get it. However, if she would predecease the husband, they get nothing. So therefore, she predeceases the husband inherits it. It's no different than any other case where the Kesuvos Banim Dichrin is after her death. So therefore, it's posh. It says the Gemara that if she sells it to other people, not her husband, she sells it to other people, that the Kesuvos Banim Dichrin is still in place. Okay. My time, right? My cheles ksubasa lebayla in la ksuba Banim Dichrin. My timer b'chuli achilte. She's Michael the Kesuvos Banim Dichrin if she sells it if she Michael to a husband. So here, you have two givens. Selling it to some other people, the Kesuvos Banim Dichrin is still in place, because if she would die, they don't get anything, and it's still the same to the husband. If she's Michael it, there's no Kesuvos Banim Dichrin. What happens if she sells the Kesuba to the husband? Now, boy Rav, Macheres Kesuvas L'Bayla. In other words, and she's selling it the same way, not like Rav Yeba Saba. Rav Yeba Saba was like she was selling it in the Manav Shach that he gets it. Over here, she's selling it only if she would die first. But if he would die first, she's not selling it. It's similar to selling to others, and therefore you would have Kesuvos Banim Dichrin. Like Kimachelis the Baila Dami, right? And it was like being Michael to the husband, and she would not, and would not have Kesuvos Banim Dichrin. So selling to the husband with the same din as selling to others. The husband's taking a risk. Either she'll die or he'll die. If he dies, she gets it, and he gained nothing. If she dies, he's off the hook. There would be Kesuvos Banim Dichrin, like selling to other people, or would it be like Mechila and not? Sabasta the boy had the pashta. Mecheres Kesubas labayla kimecheres lacherem dami. It's like selling to other people, and therefore what? And therefore the Kesuvos Banim Dichrin is still in place. Master Rabbi Baravin. Okay, now let's go back to Yavamis, guys. I know you hear the word Yavamis and you say, do we have to? Yes, we have to. We have to go back to Yavamis. Now, this you will remember. We had a whole Mishnah that began a woman who basically messed herself up royally. An aide showed up and said, your husband went to be the Yom, he's dead. Right? She remarries somebody else. She has children from somebody else. The first husband shows up. You might recall what happens to her. Ain't no ksuba from Zed, no ksuba from that. Mamzerim from here, mamzerim from there. She is basically in messed up, terrible. Okay? We're going on that Mishnah. And what does it say in that Mishnah? The following. Master Ravidi Baravin. Mesa ein yoshim shalzer, vein yoshim shalzer, yosh ksubasa. Neither one from the kids from the first husband or the second husband get the ksuba. Fred Ravina, but he has the kasha. Ksubasa mayavidite. She has no ksuba. She has no ksuba. She didn't check out well enough. She ended up in this position. She gets no ksuba also. So what do you mean they get no ksuba? Ksubas banim dichrin. There's no ksubas banim dichrin over there. In other words, even though there's a svara to say she was an onus, nonetheless, we don't say that. So here's our kasha, guys. Why over here do we say she sold the ksuba because she's zuzi ansua, that she needed the money, and you do have ksubas banim dichrin? We could say the same svara over there. Va'amai, hachinami, here as well, lema yetza ansa. She didn't check out well because she had a yetza hara to get married. So the yetza forced her to go ahead and sell it. So why do you say there's no ksubas banim dichrin in the Mishnah and Yavamis, as opposed to here that you say there is, if she would sell it to her husband, using the svara of what? Of she was forced to. She was forced to over here because she needed the money. She was forced there also because of a desire to get married. Says the Gemara, Kanas, and you're right. Kanasu the Kansurabanan. Like many things over there was a knas. Remember, we canceled mamzerim on the first set of children. They should be okay. No, there's a lot of knases that went over in that Mishnah. So this is just another one of them. That the fact that there's no ksubas bonim dichrin. Yosef Ravid Bar Chinina, Kamei the Reb Chisda, the Yosef Akama Mishmei the Reb Elazar, Meicheles Ksuvasa Lebaila, if she's Meichel Ksuba to her husband, Ein La Mezainis. Now, what is Mezainis? Guys, what is Mezainis? Well, there's Mezainis before her husband dies, and she's not a widow, and there's Mezainis after her husband dies, and she is a widow. Considerably different, fellas. Let's go over it. This week, we all know this. The Chachamim were mitakin that a woman's, the husband must provide food for the girl, for his wife. Why? Because Maisa Yedeha, she's working. So tit for tat. For the work that you do when you give me the money, I'll give you food. Or we saw an opinion, She'era Kesusa Vainasa Lo Yigra. We said She'er is what? Is food, right? In other words, so when the husband's alive, she's not alamana, we're not discussing that. You can't be Michael that. What are we discussing? We're discussing after he died. Now the mezainis is, as we saw in the Mishnah, it's a Tanai in the Ksuba. So now we're going ahead, like Ksuba's Banim Dichman to the Tanai in the Ksuba, and we discussed whether you can sell that or Michael that. Now we're discussing that other Tanai in the Ksuba, the Tanai of an Almana being provided with mezainis from the Ksuba. So that's what we're discussing right now. So now, Michael Ksuba Labaila, a woman that's Michael the Ksuba to her husband, it seemed to be, again, pretty normal. Ein la mezainis. That means she doesn't have mezainis, guys, what? After he dies, because that's in the ksuba, but before she would, that's not a Tanai ksuba. Amalei, so he said to him, Rav Chisda had said this in the name of Rav Elazar. Ravin Bar Chinna said it to Rav Chisda in the name of Rav Elazar, Rav Elazar ben Padas, Talmud Mufik of Rabbi Yochanan. Now, he said, Amalei, Rav Chisda told Ravin Bar Chinna, Ilav de Ka'amalei Mishmei de Gavra Rabba, if you didn't tell me in the name of a great person, Rabbi Elazar, Havi Amin Lecha, I would tell you, Meishiv Ra Tachas Toiva, you repay bad with good, like Thomas Rami Beisai. In other words, she was so nice. What did she do? She was Michael. What's her repayment? That now she's not going to get fed? I wouldn't do that. I would say that the words of Shlomo Melech, you don't do that. Don't you should, if no, it's not for that. I heard the psak from Rabbi Elazar, I would disagree with it. And I would say that no, even if she's Michael, don't go ahead and take it out on her. In fact, as a widow, you should give her food. Yosef Rav Nachman v'Ula v'Avimi bar Rav Papi v'Yosef Rav Chia bar Ami Gabayu Asahu Gavra, came along this person, the Shchiva Arusasai. Nebuch, he had married a girl. During the 12-month period that they were married, she died. So there was never Nisu, and the marriage was never consummated. Imrila Zil cover. He had a shaila. Does he have to pay for the burial or not? So he told her either pay for the burial or go give her the ksuba, give the family the ksuba. So Amalu Rav Chia Tanina Ishta Rusa, a woman that's an arusa le'oinin, you don't have to go ahead and mourn her death. If you're a koye, you don't have to be mitam to her. You can't be mitam to her. She has, even though there's no mitzvah for her not to be mitama, but the shus is there is. Mesa ain't yarsha. If she dies, you're not yarish in the dunya. Mesu goivik subasa. If he dies, she collects the ksuba. Time of the mesu. Her mesa he ain't like ksuba, meaning you don't have the t'nai of ksuba to bury, so you don't have to pay for the burial. My time. What's the reason you have to pay for the burial? So I'm Rav Hashaya she'enani kairaba, because in the ksub it says the cheshetanasi la'acher, when you marry somebody else, titli mashikasav l'chi, then you'll take what's written to you. And since he doesn't inherit the ksuba from an arusa, therefore the t'nai the ksuba to bury her. Rashi says the shaila was, does it go after the 100, 200, or does it go after the t'nai? The Masha goes after the t'nai, and therefore what, you wouldn't have to pay for the burial. Kiyasa Rav and Amr Reish Lakish, when Rabin came from Eretz Yisrael, he said the name of Reish Lakish. Again, Rabbi Shaya had said this, guys. Rabbi Shaya is the one who said it in Bavel. So Rav showed up from Eretz Yisrael. Rav, and we always have going back and forth. Amr Reish Lakish, Arusa Shemesa, Ein La Ksuba, she doesn't have Ksuba. Amal Abaya, Zil Amrile, Amibeis, Zil Amrile, Shekila, Tibusecha, take your good and Shaya Chizvi. Go ahead and throw it on the thorns. In other words, tell me something I don't know. Man landed on the moon, right? Tell me something I don't know. Rav Aisha and Bubble already, Shai and Bubble already said this, that Arusa does not go ahead and has no ksuba. If she dies, no ksuba. Another Tanai that we saw is Bonin Nukvin the Havilechi. They will stay until they get married. Atilach and Guvrin. Until they get married, they go ahead and they collect mezuzah. So in our minds, guys, what did you have? You had this girl she's 18 years old. She's still being supported from the estate, and then she gets married, and then there's no more dependent there, right? As we say in Yiddish, anech de getag. That's not exactly what. Believe it or not, the Torah is a lot tougher than you'd think. Listen to this. Rav Tani, like we have our gersa, ad the tilak lakon leguvrin. You will eat mezainis until you are taken by a man. However, the Levi Tani, Levi says ad shetebagrin. you'll eat mezainis until you're by geres, up until 12 and 6 months. Guys, this whole discussion about girls being supported from the Tanai Ksuba mezainis is up to 12 years and 6 months, max. Now, L'Rav, Fred the Gemara, L'Rav afagav de bogar, meaning Rav, even after Bogeres, until they're married, meaning, of course not. For Levi, afagav de insiv, and Levi, and if she married before she was a Bogeres, also she'd collect. Ella, bogar v'loy insiv, if she reaches the age of Bagris, even if she doesn't get married. Insiv, if she gets married, v'loy bogar, and it's not a Bogeres also. Guys, what does this have in common? A Bogeres and marriage both take her out of the rishus of the father. The Tanai Ksuba, guys, it's this Pasha Svara. The father is going to go ahead and he's going to go ahead and support the daughter, as long as the daughter's in my rishus. As soon as the daughter leaves his rishus, no longer is he supported. We went ahead and we said earlier, we evaluating the children based upon what the father would do. So Memela, since they leave the rishus to the father, of course it's only up to Bogeres and the Suin. So even if the marriage takes place before Bogeres, or Bogeres takes place before marriage, either one will go ahead and take off the chiyuv from the estate of the Tanai Ksuba to go ahead and provide mezainis. Says the Gemara, the kuliyam, the kulay pligi. When is it a bug of lay incidents, lay bogar? Everyone agrees. Ki pligi. When's the machlokes be'arusa v'lay bogar? If she's an arusa, v'lay bogar, and she's what? And she is not a bogeres. So, guys, what did Rab say? You will eat from the estate ad shetilachin legavrin. If she's an arusa, guys, she was tilachin legavrin. She was taken to somebody. So, like that, she'd be off. She would be. Not required. The sons would not be required to give him mezainis. Levi, who says that to bogar, it's only until what? She's a bogeres. Nisuin would take her out before she's a bogeres, but arusa would not. So arusa, according to Levi, who you'd still have to provide. According to Rav, you wouldn't have to provide. That would be the difference between the two. The V'chein tani Levi mastiton at the bogrin the yamtim zmanim the insvin. Says the word tarti. Why two things? Ella oite bagrin either bogeres or yamtim zman in sava, or comes the time of leaving the rishus of the father, meaning of the being in the sewer. Kitanoi. Ad motzai abbas nizainis. How long does Abbas get support from the state? Adshet to Ares until Erison. That's the same as what? That's Rav. Mishum Reb Elazar, Aimer, name Reb Elazar, Adshet Boger, and that would be like according to Levi. So Machlokes Rav and Levi, Gedali Amaroyim is Machlokes Tanai. Taner Reb Yosef, Ad Yahavin. Now, what does Havaya mean? Havaya usually means Kedushin. So Ibayis Lahu, Havaya the Erison, Havaya the Nesuin. What did you mean? Did you mean an Arusa or did you mean an Nesua? That you're supported up until the Erison, but Erison after not? Or no, even up to Nesuin. On that Teku, the Gemara says Teku. Amar Rav Chisda Rav Yosef. Mishmil Chamine de Rav Yehuda. Arusa Yeshna Mezainis Einla Mezainis. Amalei Mashmil. I heard, but Mishmil Shmili. I didn't hear anything from Rav Yehuda. Elam Misvara, less late. Misvara, I'll say, and Arusa does not get. Why? Even the Irsa, since she's engaged, the tazel. In other words, that if she's engaged, it would be an embarrassment for the husband for this girl to have to go door to door to get her what? Her mezainis. So therefore, it makes sense that she doesn't get, because the arusa will provide for her. So in Svara, I will tell you, an arusa does not get mezainis because her fiance will go ahead and provide for her. Amalei said to him, in Mishmaya lo shmiya lecha, if you didn't hear it, Misvara is like that. I would say in Svara, she does get mezainis. Why? Kivin like kimla bigava like shadi zuza bichti. In other words, this guy doesn't know when he marries so whether he's going to be happy. Maybe he'll marry and find a mekach tois. Remember, we have the svara of simpum, right? The svara why Bas Kohen, Rus's Kohen doesn't eat, because maybe he's going to find something and all the truma she ate would retroactively be chayv misabei shemayim. Maybe you'll find something. So therefore, The svar is that no, there's no guarantee that he's going to stay with her, and therefore he doesn't provide food for her. He's not going to just throw his money out. He's not going to throw his money. Bikdiyah means the same sugya, just with different people, the opposite people. Rabbi Yosef said, "Mishmoy lashmieli misvara islay kiven like kim lei begavo leshadis uz b'chti." Amalei is Rabbi Chisda that said, "Imishmiel lashmiel lecha misvara less like kiven irsa like nichalei tezel." It's just the different people. Rabbi Yosef in the first one, Rabbi Yosef is the one who said that she doesn't have, and the second one he says he does have. In the second lashon, Rabbi Chisda is the one who says first lashon he says she does have, and the second lashon Rabbi Chisda is the one who says doesn't have. The svara being there's no guarantee that he's going to throw his money out because maybe he won't stay with her, or no, the svara being that what he wouldn't let her go door to door, and therefore he's going to provide for her. Okay, next Gemara is interesting. Simin the Gavre Shok Zarif and Mana v'Yibma Shnia Arusa v'Ansa. So guys, listen to this simin. The first simin is the people. Shok Zaraf, that's 5 letters. The letter stands for the 5 Amoraim who will ask Shilas. The first one, Shin, is Rav Sheshes. The Kuf is Reish Lakish. The Zion is Reb Eliezer. The Reish is Rava. And the Pei is Rav Papa. So the Gavre Shok Zarif is the name of the people. And the 5 Shilas are going to be Mina, Yibma, Shnia, Arusa, Ansa. Good? And these are all Shilas about Mizainis. Boy minei mirav sheshes. That's the shin in Shok. Mimanes yesh lemezainis ein lemezainis. Okay, guys, let's go back to Yavanis. What is miyun? That we said a girl whose father dies, the mother or brother have a right to marry her off when she's a katana. The father can marry off the Araisa, the mother and brother can marry off Kedusha the Rabbanon because we're worried that she should be in the jurisdiction of somebody. Before she reaches Machlok is exactly when she can perform miyun, with the katana and naira, she says, I don't want this marriage. Retroactively, she wasn't married. Good? So now, question, does she get mizainis or not? From her brothers. Do we say retroactively she wasn't married, so it's like she never left the house, and therefore the ksuba provides the tanai that she's supported from the estate? Or no, do we say that once she left, and that's it, she doesn't go back, no backsies? That's the shaila. So again, Rav Sheshes, the yes from Rav Sheshes, the ma'enes yesh la mizainis ein la mizainis. On Rav Sheshes tinisua, you learned almona bebeis avia. Almana, as long as she's an almana from Erisin, she goes back to daddy. The Gerusha Beis Avia, she's a Gerish from Erisin, goes back to daddy. Shemeres Yavam Beis Avia, right? Yeshla Mizainis, she has Mizainis. Rabbi Yehuda Oimer, Oida Beis Avia, Yeshla Mizainis. Eina Beis Avia, Eina Mizainis. Rabbi Yehuda, Hainu Tanakama. What is the difference between them? They both seem to be saying if they're by daddy, they get Mizainis. So she's by daddy. Doesn't look like. The Tanakama Savar Isla. Tanakama says, right now, after Mion, is she back by daddy? Absolutely. So therefore she would get Mizainis. Rabbi Yehuda Savar Leslie, because Rabbi Lesla. Rabbi Yehuda says she doesn't get. Why? Because she left. And we don't say that Oikelim Afreya, that we're Oikelim Afreya, the Suin, and it's like she never left. But she did leave, and therefore she would not get what? She would not get Mizainis. So Sheish is the answer to the question that it's Machlokes the Tanakama and Rav Yehuda regarding whether she would get or not. Like the Tanakama, after Mion, she would get Mizainis, she would be provided Mizainis from the estate, and like Rav Yehuda, she would not. Boy Reish Lakish, this is the Kuf in Shak, right? This is Rav Sheish with the Shin, this is the Kuf of Reish Lakish. And the first one was me, and the second Shiloh we have is the Yavama. Bas Yavama, Yesh la Mizainis, Ein la Mizainis. So what do you mean the Bas of Yavama? Rashi, Akarna says Yavimtai, you get married, the Yolda loy Bas, and you have a girl, Yesh la Mizainis la Achem Yisasa'av, Mina Achem Minichse Avia Oloi. Would she get Mizainis, right, from the estate with her brothers, after her father dies? Would she get Mina Achem Minichse Avia Oloi? Would she get Mizainis or not? So she was Yavama, a man got married, did Yibum, and he had a daughter. I guess he's out of the picture now. Father dies. She is now a girl like all the others. Does she get or not? Now, what's the shaila predicated upon? Kibin the Amamar, Subasa Nichsei Baila Rishon Lesla. Since who is Meshubit to pay the Ksuba? The dead brother. By Dilma, Kibin the Islay is a Leslie. If the dead brother did not have enough to pay the Ksuba, May Rishon, the Kinele Rabbana Misheni from her father, then Isla, she would get. The Gemara says Teku. Okay, so again, you have a girl, two brothers. One brother has children, has boys. His brother has nobody. His brother dies. He's miyabein the woman. Now what? He dies. You have so now you have two boys from the first wife. This girl from the second wife. Does she get? What's the shaila not to get? Because her ksuba was totally on the first dead brother. Or no, since the dead brother does not have the ksuba is on here, so maybe she would get mezainis. Maybe, in other words, is she considered part of the tanaya of the ksuba of her daddy or not? Is she considered ksuba of her quote unquote her mother's first husband who's dead, right? Or no, since he doesn't have enough for ksuba, the ksuba is on her daddy, then she's part of the tanaya ksuba. That's the shaila, guys. Good. So that's the Gemara answer. Says the Gemara teku. Gemara says that's a teku. So that is Rav Sheshes, and that is Reish Lakish, and that is the Miyana, that's the Yidma. Now we have three more shilas and three more people. We have Shnia, Arusa, the Anusa, and we have three people, Rabbi Laza, Rabba, and Rav Papa. Okay, the next shaila is regarding a Shnia. If you might remember, a page in Daf Chaf Aleph in Yevamis of many different relationships, right? That were usher only because of, for example, the grandmother. Minat Torah, grandmother's mother. It's only because of mother. Okay, now it's us to be married to them. So now, Boy Rebbe Laza, Bas Shnia. If you have a daughter from a Shnia, Yeshlam is Zainis, Eilam is Zainis. Do you have not Amid Aleph? Kivin the Lesla Ksuba. Since you don't have a ksuba to the mother, less no mezainik. There's no mezainis because there's no tanai ksuba to fulfill. Idilma ima the of the surah konsura rabbanon. Ihi the of the surah like konsura rabbanon. The mother who did a nissa by marrying a shnia we kansa, but the daughter not, or maybe no difference. So the Gemara says teku. So that was Rebbe Laza. So we had Rav Sheshes by Miyun. We had Reish Lakish by Yavama. And we're having Rebbe Laza by what? By Shnia. Now we have two more. We have Rava and Rav Papa. Okay. Boy Rava, Bas Arusa. Now, a man is not supposed to live with his wife when there's an Arusa, right? He's supposed to live only after Nisu and after Chuppah. But he lived with her. And now she's an Arusa. Yeshlam is like the same Mizainis. Kivin the Islay Ksuba Islay, right? Since there's a Ksuba, she has Mizainis because of the Tanai Ksuba. Rashi says that we would write up the ksuba, the tanai ksuba b'shas nesuin, less light. Then she doesn't have. That remains teku. That's the shaila of Rava, and the final shaila is the shaila of Rav Papa. Boy Rav Papa, Bas Anusa, the daughter of a woman, you ma'anas a woman, and now you have to marry her, guys. Remember, right? That you have to marry her. So, and that you have a daughter. Yeshlam Mizainis, Eilam Mizainis. What's the shaila? I'll leave it to Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda, Loiti Boy Love Dama Yeshla Ksuba Mana. We had a Gemara, guys. Does she have a Ksuba? She's not a Besulak, obviously, because the man violated her. So she's a Bu'ula. She's like, so therefore she gets 100. So like that sad that she gets a Ksuba of 100, so this Tanai Ksuba is the same. So of course she gets Mizainis. That's not a shaila. The shaila was like the Mandiyamu who said the 50 shkolim is in lieu of the Ksuba. Right, the fine, the knas is in lieu of ksuba. That's the shaila. So now, kiti boilach aliv the rabbanon. The army yotza kesef knasa b'ksubasa. Right, that the ksuba, the kesef ksuba is the place of the kesef of the knas is in place of the ksuba. So that's now the question is, do you have a tanai ksuba from Mizainis or not? My keeping less the ksuba, less than mizayne. A dilma ksuba time of my. The whole reason for ksuba is to protect her, that her husband shouldn't indiscriminately get angry and divorce her because it's going to cost them money. For her, and over here he's not able to divorce her, right? Can't divorce her because of because he was manasa. So maybe she would get mizainis. So that we answer teku. So we got the shak zaraf, we got the sheshes by Mion, we got Reish Lakish by Yavama, we got Rebbe Laza by Shnia, we got Rava by Arusa, we got Rav Papa by Anusa. That's a very nice simon to remember. Have a great day.